implementation of the administrative requirements under the ADA in terms of a business model for accessibility management, where you start with leadership and get commitment to inclusion, and that leadership provides direction to staff. They assign an accessibility coordinator to oversee the management program. Responsibilities are delegated through the formation of an accessibility management team. Information is gathered, and that would be both an assessment of your facilities, your programs, and then also your policies and procedures. That accessibility management team meets regularly and prioritizes projects with input from all of those areas, departments and units, and especially also from the community of people with disabilities. You implement your accessibility improvements, and then you continue to evaluate those accessibility improvements and report back to leadership and stakeholders in regards to your process. You know, I'll tell you that accessibility management is a lot like risk management. One, it's not just the accessibility coordinators or the risk manager's job. It has to be everybody's job, but your job is really never done. Just like safety, you're always looking at accessibility issues, just like you're always looking at safety issues. So starting with that accessibility coordinator, or what was actually required under Title II. Title II, nowhere in the ADA, in the regulations themselves, does it actually say ADA coordinator. We've just kind of developed that term over time. But you're required to have a responsible employee. And in the regulations themselves, it says that is the person that signs off on the final decision. You know, so in some circumstances, it might be the ADA coordinator. In others, it might be the CEO, the deputy mayor, the park superintendent, the executive director. It just, you know, depends on what your organization is. Over the years, we've seen the role of an ADA coordinator evolve with planning and coordinating compliance activities, overseeing the administrative requirements, and receiving and investigating complaints. Originally, when the ADA was first passed, we saw a lot of the ADA coordinators start in human resources. Over time, I think especially in Parks and Recreation, we've seen the ADA coordinator role evolve over to the planning department, especially with the implementation of the transition plan and so many ADA corrective actions needing to be made. I think more recently, we're seeing an evolution to that role being tagged on to a collateral responsibility with a safety or risk manager, or if you have a large agency that has a community engagement department, that role being designated there with one of your outreach coordinators. I like that role in the community engagement department because that way they're actually able to interact. That's really their job, is the first line of interaction with different community groups, neighborhood groups, and so the ADA compliance role of it seems as a good natural fit for folks in community engagement. The role of the ADA accessibility coordinator, it's a real balancing act. On one side of it, you're the compliance manager, similar to being the safety manager. On the other side of it, you have to be a disability advocate. That person has to have some type of familiarity, some type of personal connection with disability. Does it mean that they have to have a disability? Maybe, maybe not, but the greater understanding they have of the needs of people with disabilities and the different types of functional limitations that your folks, your participants and visitors might have, the better they'll be able to advocate in those really contentious accessibility improvements and decisions